Welcome back. This is icemonkey9, otherwise known as Sean for Tight Poker, and welcome me back to my latest strategy video. And I had a lot of requests of when are we going to see you play, and so I just put in a session playing 16 tables with 25 no limit. I was actually kind of inspired by Chicago Joey, who's I guess I can consider a friend now. I hung out with him last night, and the guy's a lunatic, just to be honest with you, but he's a lot of fun, and congratulations to him. If you haven't heard, he played 50,000 hands in a 20-hour period, which is just ridiculous. But played 16 tables. It's definitely possible. It's a lot of fun, and I ran pretty bad in my opinion, but VPIP PFR 15-13, which is real good for full ring. That's just right there in that taggish range. So I'll be bringing you some hands where you may not necessarily know what the villain's going to show up with in the end, but I'll talk about my thinking in the hand, and we'll go from there. So let's jump into it. I've got aces on the button. And, oh, by the way, this is VPIP PFR. This is steal, and then fold to steal, and this is raise the big blind to a steal attempt. And if you can't see it, just follow that was the top line. The second line is flop aggression, turn aggression, river aggression, and then there's this little line here, and then that's the number of hands I have on that player. And then we have 3-bet, fold to 3-bet, C-bet, fold to C-bet. So we got one limper, I make the raise, and we get 3-bet out of the small blind, which is fantastic. And then we just flap behind. Because I remember at these stakes, absolutely nobody was 4-betting ever, and I didn't want to telegraph the fact that I had aces here, so it's a bit of a gamble here. But I think against this guy, unless he hits a set, I'm going to be winning the pot. So this is perfect because a lot of the hands that he'd be 3-betting there, which are like tens, jacks, queens, even kings, I have beat, and he might even be bluffing here with something like ace king, which is unlikely for him to have. So he goes ahead and bets 5, and it's time. We're not slow playing it anymore. So I go ahead and make the raise. He shoves, very standard, and I hold up against this king. So very standard way to win a stack. But I've seen a lot of guys fold king at full ring at 100 no limit and even 50 no limit, which is a little ridiculous. But if you see one of those types of players, which you'll run into, this is one way to play aces where you're not just getting it in on the pre-flop round, but you are on the flop for sure if you can. All right, now we're over here in the big blind with jacks, and we have a 17-9, only 125 hands, and he's raising pretty standard. You can almost consider that a steal. And if this guy didn't steal 21%, let's say he only stole 10%, I'd just be flatting here. But as it is against this guy, I'm going to be aggressive in the big blind. So I go ahead and make the 3-bet, which I actually don't like the size here. It should have been a little bit more. But he goes ahead and calls, and I hit top set, which is fantastic. So I go ahead and C-bet, which is great. He calls, and a horrible scare card for me comes. But, unless he got in there, what could he have that are 2 diamonds in this pot where he made a pre-flop raise and, I 3-bet and he calls behind? What does he do that with? Maybe kings, maybe queens, ace king, and he'd have to have diamonds here. So a lot of the time I'm ahead. It's just you're not going to see queen, king, or something like that unless it's just a really goofy hand. But you are watching me, and you know how I run. So I go ahead and shove over the top, which might have been a little too aggressive. I think a pot bet, or maybe even just a slight overbet would have been fine. But I think this. I think I was just super pissed or something because this is clearly not a great play. He goes ahead and calls. I'm probably toast here, so he shows ace-8, which is just ridiculous, and I don't hit any of my outs. So, yeah, that's how you tilt off a stack. I showed you the first hand how you win a stack. That's how you tilt off a stack. So I can see I'm just clearly not playing too well, but with that turn bet size. But if he comes over the top, I'm still not folding because I have top set and I have outs. The fact that he has ace-8 and just hit a miracle turn, with this kind of board, it's just ridiculous that this guy gets rewarded for this kind of play. But it'll happen. All right, I got 23 offsuit in the big blind. I'm wondering what happened here, but I kind of remember. So I'll go ahead and check. Limper, caller, checker. I hit 2 pair. He bets. You know, a raise here says queen, and I didn't really want to scare off a queen at this point, which is fine. Ace comes. Unfortunately, the flush fills, and he bets. So I think I'm just calling behind here, which is fine. And then I hit my gin card. You know, the river boat is fantastic. He puts in 250, so we're clearly either putting him on the flush or some sort of like ace queen hand or something to that effect, where you know he's probably got something pretty good here, and we drew out. So go ahead. I made a raise. Obviously, we're betting here. We need to get value for full house, and he goes ahead and shoves, so it's an automatic call. And he does show the flush, so kind of a cooler for him. But we'll take him as we can get him because they don't come often. So just one way of playing it here. The river play I like. And then this call I actually liked a lot because, yeah, for the reasons I just mentioned. All right, 9s in the big blind. Make the raise. Maybe should have made it 1, but I don't think it matters. And so I've got an overpair. Go ahead and make the c-bet, which is good. This guy shoves all in. And he's a 50-0 over 12 hands. So we just got nothing in terms of our read. So I think calling against this guy is 7 into, 14, I guess. I guess it's a fine call. So I'll go ahead and make the call. He shows queen. So he slow played his queens and saw the perfect flop for something like 9s or 10s to get it in. And you just take it that way. That's the way it goes sometimes. All right, 10s on the big blind. And we have no reads on this guy. We have 1 hand on him. And he raised before. Or I guess this is the 1 hand he raised. So we don't have any hands on this guy. And I don't like to 3-bet 10s in this kind of situation. I think it's fine to flat behind here. And here we go with this situation of an overpair. So I'll check, and he bets. I'll go ahead and call, and I guess I'm calling with the intention of either donking out on the turn or check raising on the turn, which is good. And so, yeah, we're getting it in here, clearly. And I think this is a real good game plan here, because I think he can't let go at this point, given his stack in the pot. So he goes ahead and makes the call, and he had the miracle flop once again against me. And that's just too bad, but I think it turns out that on the turn, yeah, I had a 2 pair. So that's funny. I saw that he was ahead on the flop, but I obviously didn't realize just then that I was ahead on the turn with the bigger 2 pair, which is fine because that means this pot is going my way. But I think that's a good game plan because one thing I didn't notice, but I was kind of alluding to, was his stack size of $15. And so the game plan here was, okay, I've got an overpair. There's $2 in the pot. He's got 14 behind, and I'm pretty good here a lot of the time. How do I get ahead? And so the $1.50 here, I could have raised, and I think I just wanted to see the turn and make sure that it was kind of the card I could either donk out bluff or get it in with and feel pretty safe about it. So there's 5 here. I've got 2 pair as an overpair, and I go ahead and check, and he bets 4. So clearly, I mean, it was kind of automatic. This isn't any big secret here, just to shove it in order to get him to call, because he's committed himself with this bet. So so far, I'm really disliking my play here, but I was 16 tabling, and I haven't been too hot playing poker lately, so it's pretty interesting. So I think we saw this guy before in a hand, and I go ahead and make the isolation raise to $1.10, and nobody folds. That's fantastic, which is funny since these guys are pretty nitty. So an overpair once again against 3 nits, and I'm thinking probably great, someone hit their set. So I'll go ahead and make the c-bet. This guy calls. Queen comes. Check, check. That's fine, but the more I think about it, which is like what